How often does life feel like this to you, where you are trying to go in one direction but seems like people and situations and circumstances are pulling you in another, and every single day it feels like this constant war, it feels like this constant struggle, and no matter how much you try to chase your dreams and your goals, problems always seem to come up. There are some days where you win and a bit more of leeway comes your side and you believe, oh my god, yes, I'm finally going to win, I'm finally going to succeed, and you go higher and higher and higher until all of this snaps back around and you are pulled right back into the problems. And in between, like this wire in my hands that's stretched, that's struggling, that's tensed, that's how you are spending your days. Stretched and struggling and tensed about the future, guilty about the past, worrying about what's happening, what's not happening. And the one question that remains is, how do I actually untangle this whole wire? How do I untangle my own life so that finally I can extend to the person I want to be, but also do so without the struggle, without the tension, where rather than my life working against me, my life starts to work for me. And I flow into that direction easily and effortlessly. Well, that's the conversation we're going to have today, because for a lot of us, it seems like the struggle is about doing more. The struggle is about achieving more. The struggle is about not knowing enough. And yet, what happens is, it's not you versus them. It's not that your life circumstances are against you. It's you versus your everyday choices. It's who you are today versus who you want to be. And that is what we'll understand today, how we can integrate both these aspects so your life, regardless of where it is right now, regardless of the challenges and struggles that are there, starts to work in your favor instead of against you, so you can fast track your way to success. For each one of us, two different versions of ourselves exist inside our minds. The one version is the version we portray to the world, the version we portray to our family, friends, colleagues, and essentially everyone who's external to us. And the second version is the version we think of inside our heads, the beliefs we hold on to, the ideas we are accustomed to, the way we perceive ourselves. And the biggest problem that comes up for us is when there's a stark difference between what we are showing on the outside and who we really are on the inside. And I'm not talking about you being manipulative here or you being someone who's fake. That's not what I'm saying. But all I'm saying is, for each one of us, there is always a discrepancy between who we show who we are and who we really are. And it's nothing bad, it's nothing to be ashamed about, but the bigger the discrepancy is, the harder it gets for you to actually take action and change your life and do the things that you need to do. Let me explain this to you with a simple example as to why this is the root cause of all the struggle, tension, and pulling that goes on between you, your ambitions, and your current life circumstances. So let's say one of your goals in your life is to build a business and to succeed and to scale it to such a level that you have millions of dollars coming into your bank account every single day. Now, for a lot of people, that's a reality, and you can build that too. But let's say to the outside world, you've created and you thought you've created an image of being perfect, an image of being incredible, an image of being someone who's a professional at everything, and you're scared. You won't tell anyone you're scared. But the reason you're scared is you don't want to fail. You don't want to be this person who's trying out new things, who's trying out a new business, and then he or she falls flat on their face. Because that would mean, oh no, I'm not perfect anymore. I'm not the person I portrayed outside to be. But deep down, you feel a bit insecure. You feel fearful. You feel anxious. You feel doubtful. You really wonder if I even deserve that kind of money or not. But on the outside, you want it. But on the outside, you're not willing to look foolish enough to try out a few different things until something works. And on the inside, you're okay with not taking that action because you somewhere think that if I don't take the action, at least I'm not failing, at least I'm not facing the brunt of all those things. So better to stay here than to actually end up trying something and ending up like a failure. And that is the perfect example of how that tension holds us back. Now, usually your mind here will create quite a few different excuses. And your mind will say, oh, It's because of my life partner that I can't really build a business. I need to build security for the home, so I have no option but to stay stuck in a job. Or someone else says, you know what, it's my parents. They supported me so much, I cannot really risk disappointing them. I just want to do something of my own. I know it, but because of them, I cannot. Or for some other people, the excuse is, I don't know enough, I'm not doing enough, maybe I'm not good enough yet, maybe I need to learn more, and all these thoughts that keep them stuck in the preparation mode rather than the action mode that takes them closer to their dreams. So what happens inside of them is, every single day, the struggle increases, the tension increases, the worry increases, and either two things happen. The first thing that happens is, that string that I just showed you, it gets stretched to such a limit. That tension and that overwhelm goes to such a limit that the person breaks down. Now, you can call it an emotional breakdown, or you can say the person burnt out, or you can say the person lost his or her cool. You can label it anything you want, but the essential truth is, the fight between the you on the outside world, the perception of you, and the real you, and what the real you wants, got so exhausting that you yourself broke down in between. And that's one thing that happens when the tension gets too much. But can I tell you another thing that happens? It's suppression. And it's holding on to this weird idea about yourself that everybody else seems to figure it out. Why am I the only one who's struggling? Everyone else seems to know what they're doing. Why am I the only one who's anxious throughout the night? And you keep isolating yourself, starting to think that you are at fault, starting to think that you are the one who's wrong, starting to believe that I can never really figure it out in my life, and my life is destined for this hopelessness, this sadness, this frustration, this worry. And that's my biggest fear for us all, because we're living in a generation, we're living in a time where it's so much easier to fake positivity, where it's so much easier to create a perception of who you are rather than who you really are. You could feel very sad, but all you need to do is post a few stories on Instagram and everybody knows, oh yeah, this person's living a very happy life. But we know that's not true, right? We know there's a discrepancy between who you really are and what you're showing to the world. And now here again, I'll connect the dots as to why I said that. But I want to give you a word of caution first. I'm not saying that being you means you go out into the world and start crying and being vulnerable about every single problem of yours. No, that's not what I'm saying. The world has nothing to do with it, by the way. What I want to point out is, can you inside come to such a level of confidence and peace and calmness that the you here and the you out there are no longer different for you? Let me explain that. So you see, either you end up going in this direction where you maintain the perfect image you've tried to create on the outside for the world, for the people around you, for your ego or importance or whatever it is. And as you're chasing that image, you start to lose out on the real you, start to suppress yourself so much. The suppression point connects here. You suppress yourself and your emotions so much that eventually you forget, who am I even? What am I doing? Do I even really know myself? And that silence, that question, that fear, that confusion is so heavy that then you try to find escapes. And those escapes can be social media. That escape can be going to a lot of parties. That escape can be going into things that make you feel very, very pleasurable in the moment. So your mind can just get off of the constant worry and anxiety that's there. And that's where a lot of successful people who make money, who gain accolades, who do a lot of things, end up making foolish mistakes or jumping into foolish addictions that end up ruining their lives. Not because it's cool to do so. Nobody does it because of that. But because they would feel so insecure and anxious and worried that like, I just need a break from myself. I just need a break from being me. And that's what they would choose as a relief, because all that suppression inside is something they wouldn't be able to hold. And we all know the consequences of what happens when you choose suppression. Believing that it's your fault, believing that you are the only one who's wrong, believing that even though you're feeling all these different things and even though there's this struggle going on to the world outside, you cannot convey this. You just have to be this perfect, ideal, pressurized self. that leads you into outlets like these, which are not very healthy. So we do not want that. What we want is an honest and clear and open conversation with yourself, where you can look at your reality as it is, and rather than judging that reality, you can welcome it and accept it with love. Now, let me give you a very simple example here of what that means. You've seen me come here on all these weekend videos that we're doing every Saturday. If you're tuning into the other videos, you see I do the YouTube live every single day at 8:30 p.m. IST. I do my coaching calls, I do my webinars, I do my sessions. There's a lot of things that I'm doing, and I'm showing up as a coach who helps people transform their lives. I'm 19 years old right now, but the people I'm working with are almost double my age, double the experience, and yet in 1 month, they're experiencing the kind of breakthroughs they haven't seen in two decades. And that's the blessing, that's the magic of doing my work. That's the intention with which I even come and make these videos, to inspire you, to give you that clarity, to give you that ability to be yourself, right? And that is why I'm able to show up here with confidence. Earlier, I was not able to, because inside me, the same struggle was going on. And can I tell you what that struggle was? It was such a silly, but to me, it felt important at that time. So that's why I prioritized it in my mind. But the reason I struggled to put myself out there was, I was like, if I'm a mindset coach and if I'm helping people gain clarity on their mindset, if I'm empowering them with clarity to create the life they want, the first thing they're going to ask me is, well, Prabhsimrat, then why aren't you in the best health yourself yet? I'm working on it. I'm taking the actions towards it. I am becoming the best version of myself that I want to be. But yet I'm not perfect anywhere near yet. I don't have the dream physique that I want. I'm still working towards it. I'm still losing weight to get there. But that used to be my biggest insecurity. That used to be the biggest tussle within me, that people are going to look at me, people are going to say, how can you coach people if you haven't even coached yourself to get this done? And that thought bothered me. Why? Because to me, I was this person. I was this somewhat underconfident person because of some of these insecurities that I held. But to the outside world, I wanted to show, oh no, I'm perfect. I know everything. I can do it all. And that need for perfectionism also came because I thought, oh, if I'm not perfect, people won't really accept me, right? And because of that belief, you versus you started happening with me. There was this version of me inside me who knew the reality. But rather than listening to that version, I only kept focusing on this perfect, idealized version that I wanted to be, which was far from my current reality. And in between, I would get stretched because every single day, I would look at my work, I would look at me, I would look at my life, and my reality would be different from what I wanted, from what I wanted to be perceived as, from what I wanted to show. And that's where I ended up feeling frustrated and overwhelmed and exhausted and tired and drained, and I just couldn't do the things that I love to do. And I worked on that. Through the coaching processes that I do with people in my coaching, I did the same things for myself, and as a result of that, the insecurity just completely went away. The doubt, the fear, it all disappeared. Why? Because I recognized one thing. I need to be whole. I need to be complete. If I want to succeed and if I want to help other people succeed, these two different versions of me can't exist inside my head. I need to let go of the struggle and become one. And becoming one meant accepting both sides of my life. Accepting the great skill I've developed while accepting the fact that I'm still working on the path to be in the best version in terms of my health. And when that acceptance came in from within me, when my own judgment went down, and when I thought, well, you know what? This is simple. This is easy. I know I can do it. I know with every day as I'm taking the actions, the results are going to come anyways. So why am I shying away now? It's time to go out. It's time to put myself in front of people and start creating the transformation that I know they deserve. And now today, more than 200 people later that I've talked to one-on-one, all these lives that I've transformed, I'm so proud. I took that decision of bringing both the parts together, accepting my greatness, also accepting my weaknesses, accepting the things I'm incredible at, also accepting the parts of me that can and will be judged by people and have been judged by people. But then I said to myself, this is who I am. These are all different parts of me. Just because I accept who I am doesn't mean I'm not changing it, right? Doesn't mean I'm not improving it. Every single day, I can become the better person I want to be. But if I hate that person, if I'm in that struggle, if I'm in that push and pull, I'm only going to get exhausted without having anything done. If I want effortless results, if I want magic to happen in my life, this tussle has to end. And it ended the day I accepted both the sides and I was like, you know what? It's no longer me versus me. It's just me, right here, right in my heart, with all the imperfections and all the goodness, with all the tiny things I get irritated at, and also all the clarity I'm able to give to people, with all the sincerity with which I show up to my work, and all the fun and laughter and crazy jokes that I can make for myself and for my friends. So it's a balance of both sides of life. Accept both parts of you. Accept the outside version, accept the inside version. Choose who you want to be, but without the struggle. Because that person, whoever you want to be, is not the person you will love. This person today who you are is the person you will love. And if you can love this person today, that is the only way you will become the person that you want to be. And then action taking, effortless. Success, effortless. Not workless, but effortless. Because your own internal resistance will go down. Your battles with yourself will stop. And you will have so much more energy to create the life of your dreams. So tell me in the comments, what shift has this unlocked for you, and how will you start accepting both sides of you so the tussle ends, the war ends, and you can use your energy to work towards your most important goals, and share which goal that is. I'd love to be inspired by your dreams and your vision, as I hope you've been inspired by mine, because of which I know you stick here, you learn, you keep growing every single day, and I'm eternally grateful to you for joining this mission of empowering lives and of changing people's lives. You being a part of it is an example to many others that yes, this change is possible. It begins today with complete acceptance for yourself, which ends the fight between you and you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this helped, and I'll see you once again in the very next video very, very soon. Bye.